If you could, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Give it. God.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Hey, what's going on, Movie Maniacs? I'm Zach.
And I'm Matt.
And this is the previews, everybody's favorite part of the movie. So, to follow up from our spoiler-free review of Captain Marvel, we're going to give you our spoiler review of Captain Marvel.
Absolutely. So if you haven't gone ahead and see this movie, we highly suggest you go ahead and you watch the spoiler-free one, and then after you see the movie, obviously come back and have a conversation with us, because there's a lot of questions that really were left unanswered, and we really don't know why. But I guess I'll start it off with the biggest thing.
Okay, go ahead.
My personal opinion. So all I've been hearing about in the MCU nerd forums, because I'm a nerd and I like going on those, is the Skrull, right? They're supposed to be this big, huge baddie. Again, they're shapeshifters. They could go ahead and change into any human, any monster, whatever they want to do. However, in this movie, they're good guys.
See, I did not know that they were put on a pedestal of being these really, really bad guys.
And that's
so
what
I can only imagine if any maniacs are really big Marvel fans, you may be furious at that.
And explain to us in the comments below why they might have done that, because we're not that familiar with them. All I know is that they're supposed to be this big bad guy, and the forums that I was diving deep into, that this is going to butt off and be like the next like Thanos. Like they're like teasing this to be the next big baddie, but I didn't get that out of this. We're very confused. But we mentioned it at the beginning of the spoiler-free one. One thing that we did go ahead and we liked about Captain Marvel was how they did a twist on the amnesia side of the story. Like, oh, I don't know who I am. How did I get here? Go ahead and explain.
Well, that was a part in the story I actually didn't mind too much. During the first quarter of the movie, when they were just giving slight flashes of her amnesia, I was intrigued. I was looking forward to seeing how she got to that point and what's making her be this way.
And it was, and I agree with you on that, because it's really interesting how they put that twist on there, where typically in these movies, obviously you go ahead and they wake up and they're like, oh my God, who am I? Where this one, it starts off with her being part of the Kree and going ahead and fighting Skrulls and stuff like that, which I thought was very cool. She gets captured right in the beginning by the Skrulls. I thought that scene was really cool. One thing that we didn't mention in the spoiler-free review that we'll mention here, a lot of people are saying, and again, this is all I'll put out there, hashtag fake news, that this is a very feminist-driven film. I didn't feel that way
not at all
whatsoever, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're not saying that as a negative light, but people are like, oh, it's being forced down your throats and blah. I didn't feel that way. The only time I was like, okay, it might have went a little bit overboard was that fight scene and they play No Doubt, you know, I'm Just a Girl. I thought that was like, okay, dude, you know, now you're pushing it a little too much, because Captain Marvel isn't a girl, right? She's a woman and she's kicking ass. Just let her do that. You don't need to go ahead and be like, oh, guess what, guys? We're going to put a 90s song in there. Another thing, too, the 90s, where was it? Except the blockbuster, Stan Lee's, which was a great cameo, reading the Mallrats script, which is cool. And then the music.
Yeah, the music, that was it. Because then they go to the scene where you see like the lunchbox and all that. Happy Days isn't a 90s reference.
It isn't.
No, it's a like 50, no, not 50s, like
70s.
Yeah, 70s reference. If you want to go on a nostalgia trip, go watch Ready Player One. That's a nostalgia trip that I want to take personally.
Exactly. That's a Member Berries movie. I didn't get Member Berries.
I did not remember
out of this.
What I was looking most forward to, and that was how Nick Fury got his eye patch.
Which is bullshit. Say it right there. Look in the camera. Tell them how you feel.
It was just the family-friendly route that I totally expect something Disney to do.
I didn't expect Disney to do that. Something so stupid like that.
Yeah, it was just the cat, and I even leaned over to you when he scratched his eye, and I was like, that better not be the way that he got it.
Well, because of the movie, at the beginning, they're teasing it, right? Because he gets hit in the eye, and he's putting ice on his eye, and you're like, oh, is that it? And he's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. And then the cat scratched it, and I'm like, oh, they're just playing us again. Nope. They're like, that's how he got his eye messed up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And another stupid thing, too, they're like, oh, well, how are we going to call it the Avengers, right? Well, I guess on Brie Larson's plane,
before she became Captain Marvel.
Exactly. She was like, Captain Carol, the Avenger, something. And I'm like, are you serious? And I'm not going to
lie. And then just types it in his computer.
And that is just as lazy as how, I'll even compare it to this, the newest Fantastic Four film was, when they're like, oh, well, how do we come up with our names? Oh, yeah, you're just some thing.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding me? It's just lazy.
Yeah.
It was just
that infuriated me more than the eye patch.
Yeah, but before we go on to the end credit scenes, I did want to go ahead and mention the tribute that they did to Stan Lee at the beginning of the film.
So good.
Was perfect. Was 100% perfect.
And then we saw it early before it was released, and the sold out crowd and everybody gave a round of applause towards the beginning, and it was awesome.
It was really, really cool. It was a great nod, and he does have a cameo in the actual film as well. He was reading the Mallrats script. I already mentioned that, and that was really cool. But the tribute that they did at the beginning, just muy magnifique, or however you say that. On to the end credit scenes. Now, this is where everyone's going, okay, well, how does it tie into Avengers Endgame? How does Captain Marvel get there?
Yes.
She just gets there.
She just gets there. Because after the end credit scene in the last Avengers, Nick Fury picks up that communication device or whatever with
the pager
on it.
Yep.
Yeah. And it followed up with just her showing up. I could have, without even seeing that scene, I bet you I could have totally guessed that came right after that communication device got to her, which is her walking in there and just saying, "Where's Nick Fury?" And then the second one was the cat. As soon as that cat hopped up on that desk,
you already knew it.
I already knew it was coming. So I don't want to say don't stay for the end credit scene, but there's no purpose.
But again, I thought it was a lackluster installment, although I thought there was enjoyable qualities, especially the cast. You liked it better than most Marvel movies, but
I just think it just did something differently, and that's why I say that I slightly liked it. Like I said, it was kind of sloppy, and I feel like not well put together like a lot of the rest of them, but that was just a breath of fresh air to me. Was just it being different. It did not have that same cookie cutter formula that I always mention when it comes to MCU movies.
And I agree with you. That's what I liked about it too. But
I mean, because you even questioned me when you sit there and say that, oh, you like it more than all these other Marvel movies and you give it 2.5. Not necessarily. I'm just tipping my hat off to them doing something different. And I was actually I was questioning what was going to happen towards the end, because I really didn't know. I mean, minus I knew that she was I knew she was going to come out on top, but at least kept me on toes a bit more than every other MCU movie coming out.
Hey, I guess we'll agree to disagree on this one. So that's it for us today, Movie Maniacs. If you could, just hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit that bell icon so you get notified of every single video we upload. And then also, please leave comments down below, because we want to know why the Skrulls aren't bad guys in this movie. That's the question that we're really, really dying to know. Please let us know. But we'll see you next week on the previews. Have a great week.